So my name is Rick Fletcher. I'll be serving as a hearing officer for the Jefferson County Forestland Classification Committee. And the purpose of this hearing is to receive from any interested persons testimony in favor of, objections to, or suggestions relating to the proposed forestland classification adopted by the committee. For logistics, for folks who haven't been in this building, the bathrooms are out this door to your right, male and female bathrooms there. We request that you guys all mute or turn off or silent your cell phones. No smoking on the premises. There's general information floating around that we can make available to you guys. And then there's written testimony forms that are available at the back of the room or upon request with them here as well. Without that, we'll keep on going in. So again, now the hearing is officially in session at 4:02, being recorded to maintain a permanent record. Again, my name is Rick Fletcher, and I'll be serving as the hearing officer. Today is Monday, January 8th, 2024, again at 4:02 or 16:02. The Forestland Classification Committee members who are present will now introduce themselves for the record.
Ben Duda, Oregon Department of Forestry Representative, Secretary.
John Colfels, Lake Shore Fire and Rescue, representing Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office.
Any other committee members present? The purpose of this hearing is to receive any form or from any interested persons testimony in favor of, objections to, or suggestions related to the proposed forest land classification adopted by the Jefferson County Forestland Classification Committee. Here, from moving here forward, that committee will just be referred to as the committee. This public hearing follows 3 public forums that were held on December 9th at Lake Billy Chinook Fire Department, December 11th in Camp Sherman, and December 28th in Madras, just prior to the hearing tonight. January 8th here in Madras, which is allowed information to be shared on the process and answer any questions and comments on the committee's work. All testimony submitted will be formally incorporated into the record of this public hearing. When the committee adopts the final classifications, they will be recorded via written order and filed with the Jefferson County Clerk. Notice of filing, the written order and date filed will be posted on our external website at www.odfcentraloregon.com no earlier than January 29th, 2024. At that time, a 30-day appeal window will start for any landowner who chooses to appeal the committee's decisions. Any appeals must be made directly to the circuit court in Jefferson County. In addition to the opportunity to present oral comments at this hearing, anyone may submit written comments to the committee at any time during this hearing by providing those written comments to me before the end of the hearing. Again, those forms can be found over here if you choose to do written comments. Written comments may also be submitted by mail to the following address: the Oregon Department of Forestry, attention FLCC, at PO Box 670, Prineville, Oregon 97754. They can also be faxed to 541-447-1469 or email to Gordon Foster at gordon.r.foster@odf.oregon.gov. The public comment period for the written testimony will close Monday, January 22nd at 5 p.m. Comments received after 5 p.m. on January 22nd will not be reviewed or considered by the committee unless the committee decides to extend the public comment period for everyone. The committee will review issues raised during the public comment period, and my report as a hearing officer will contain those comments. The committee will not respond to questions during this hearing. After each individual has submitted oral comments, I will ask that those who are present, if anyone has similar testimony. If you do have similar testimony, I'd like you to raise your hand, and I'll take your name and account for similar testimony in my report. You may choose to speak or not to speak before the committee. After the close of the public comment period, I will prepare a report for the committee, which will be available to the public. We'll try to keep the conversations and side conversations to a minimum during the hearing. Given the number of folks that are here, I think we can allot up to 3 to 5 minutes for public comment, for oral comment, for folks who would like to do that. And again, if you have any written comments that you'd like to submit, those need to be in by 5 p.m. on January 22nd, 2024. At this time, we'll go ahead and start taking comments. And we'll go with the first name on the list.
So Gordon Clark. Okay,
My name's Gordon Clark. I own Hay Creek Ranch. Hay Creek Ranch is almost 5% of Jefferson County, or 82 square miles. It's all fee simple, it's all in one place. I've owned it for a little over 30 years. It's almost all rangeland. So what I'm gonna be talking about is specific to my land. And I wanna make sure that no one thinks I'm making my comments about other areas with different fire situations. What would I like to have most of all for my land? For the majority of it, I'd like the hottest, worst fire ever in the history of Central Oregon to burn it. Why? Because it's a juniper infested rangeland. Juniper and some other brushes. It's a man-made problem according to the scientists. Started about 1880 with livestock grazing. And it was pushed further forward after World War II, as I understand, by more firefighting. So I'm here, you're here to charge me more money for something that I don't want. I want just the opposite. Now, why is juniper bad? It's got three main reasons. One is water. It's soaking up water. Streams, creeks are dry, streams are dry. All of that. It's reducing the protein available for human consumption because of grazing. The worst thing of all is with a climax juniper stand in a lot of locations, we're losing topsoil. So in a few hundred years, people are gonna be looking at us like really stupid because they're gonna be left with just bedrock that nothing grows on because all the topsoil is washed away because of the juniper. Okay. Now, on the meeting the other day with the statistics, there were two things that bothered me. First of all, you're requesting over a doubling of the rangeland. So in other words, this is a major tax grab, and that's in your acreage. That was in your statistics. The second thing in your statistics, which I'm going to address a lot more fully, and I'm talking not to these guys, I'm talking to the people that on the fire authority. And this is my opinion and what I think and the experience of my property. I've got a college degree from one of the best universities in the United States. I'm not stupid. I've been around, I've watched a lot of things for a long time going on here. And so I formed opinions and different ideas and everything. The second thing that troubled me very much, and I brought it up the other meeting, is you have a cost of about 50% for fighting rangeland fires compared to fighting the heavies, the big forest fires, where there's a tremendous amount of fuel. Now, from any point of view you look at it, something's wrong. And I'm not disagreeing with your figures. I know where they come from, and I know why it's that high, and I believe everything you said. That figure is based upon the money that was actually spent fighting rangeland fires. So, on my property, just as a general overview of firefighting, number one, the majority of the fires burn themselves out. In other words, they don't go very far. They by your judgment, you know, for me, going very far is 5,000 acres or something like that. But they do burn out on their own. They hit an area and the weather at night, this and that, and you come back the next day and the fires stop there. Quite often they get very broad and out of control before anyone gets there, but they're gonna go out on their own pretty much. So, in other words, why bring in all the heavy artillery and all the money when the thing's gonna die on its own? The second thing, for efficiency and effectiveness, and cost of sending money and things like that, backfires appear to be the very best thing on my land to fight a fire with. I'm gonna come back to this and emphasize this a lot more. So here's what I did. I mentioned his name the other day. No one from any fire authority has came and helped me with my equipment. During a fire, yeah, I'll get some suggestions or something like that. But no one has come to me ahead of time and said, hey, Gordon, here'd be a good idea for this or good idea for that. So I have a personal friend. He just retired recently. He was the number 2 guy in the Bend Fire Department when he retired. And for the first 10 years of his firefighting, he jumped out of airplanes fighting wildfires. So when you have a giant fire, he's the guy in the airplane or on the ground, the general that's telling you how to place the borate, how to do this, how to do that, and everything like that. He's a real expert, real expert. You know who he is, some of you. You know what I'm talking about, okay? So he's a personal friend, so I dragged him out to my place, and he comes out anyway, screwing around. So my fire truck was designed by him, not by you guys. My fire truck is 1,800 gallons. It's got AFFF foam, which makes it the equivalent of about 5,400 gallons of water. You guys show up with your fancy trucks, pickups, and you got 300 and some gallons of foam and everything. But I've got more water, and I've got a backup thing with water. So all the fires I've been, except the real giant ones, I have more water than you guys do when you show up. My truck is designed really well for backfires, and it has a really good nozzle on it, on a hose and a hell of a pump. And I could lay down a huge layer of foam and light a fire on one side as a fire break or a backfire. And that wasn't my idea, it's my friend's idea. And twice it saved all my hay equipment. It's extremely effective. Extremely effective. Most of the time, I come and just look at the fire because it's gonna burn out anyway. Why waste my fuel and everything else fighting it? Now, so that's what I do on my property for it. What I've noticed when there's a fire, and lots of times somebody beside the ODS, the BLM or whoever it is, or the Forest Service guys and everything, and we'll have a fire and a whole bunch of people come in, the head guy might be fooling around, looking at their iPads, looking at this and that, and they come in charged like a charging bull and wow, put everything on it. These guys evidently have on speed dial, borate bombers, airplanes, helicopters, bulldozers and all that stuff. And they call all that stuff in and one of the last big fires, I counted 22 fire trucks parked in one place at the beginning of my property, 22 sitting there. And I could talk for a whole evening about some of the experiences we've had, but it was, in a sense, it was kind of stupid, but anyway. So that's where the big money comes from. Is all this $10,000 an hour stuff, these big borate bombers and all that other crap. That's what we're getting. That's part of this big bill that you showed me. And so I believe it, but it's because of the way the fires are being fought. Now,
In the effort of time, I do have to limit you to 60 more.
pardon me,
In the effort of time, I do have to limit you to 60 seconds, as we've got a 5-minute cap.
I couldn't understand what you said.
I'll give you 60 more seconds, as the cap for the public comment, or the oral comment is at 5 minutes, so another 60 seconds, one more minute.
So you want me to stop?
No, please continue, but try to do so in one more minute. if
Okay.
possible.
Well, I'm almost finished.
Thank you.
Okay. So, again, the backfires and all of that, I feel are really effective on my property. When it comes to the eastern portion of my ranch, I told my people that work for me, everything, if there's a fire up there, we're not gonna go up there. We don't know what we're doing. They're heavy duty. We could get killed, we could wreck our equipment. Don't want any part of that. That's for the experts in that field. We have no part of that. My suggestion is to cut down on the cost and to cut everything else. And I mentioned this the other night, is that you guys work with the landowners and have written pre-plans. Now, a pre-plan is a really written in stone thing in firefighting. It's especially true in big cities and places like that. The purpose of the pre-plan is to save money and be more efficient. And it works. You don't have, I mentioned the other night, a fire where I'm riveting so the fire trucks can get there. And my friends up in the spotter plane telling the fire, that stuff shouldn't be, you know what I mean? So you need pre-plans, and especially for backfires and things like that. I would like to see a system where you work with the landowners and you go through and you make a plan of all the different scenarios and how to fight the fires in advance. And I think you can save a lot of time and a lot of money. Keeping in mind, most of them are gonna burn out on their own. And there's also some excellent places where you can start a backfire and stop the fire with a little handheld propane torch. I could do more than 10 Warwick bombers coming through, as far as effectiveness goes. Anyone have any questions?
With the public hearing, we're not allowed to provide comment or questions. I appreciate that. Okay, thank you. Any other oral comment?
Shane Gomes, you have any comment?
Yeah, Shane Gomes, Eagle Valley Ranch, I lease pretty much everything of Richardson Rock Ranch. And this may or may not affect me with the tax increase. It's, I think the biggest complaint is it's huge increase in 1 year's time, when this should have been dealt with 10, 20, 30 years ago. And, that's probably the biggest thing I'm hearing on the ground that should be prorated out. I'm not for taxes whatsoever, but I understand that it's all in the boundary of the ODF. Everybody should be paying inside that boundary from the get-go. We all know that. And so that's the biggest thing, is it's a huge hit. Everything Gordon has said is 100% true. I'm not gonna get into the muck and the mire of it. It's just, and the rangeland is way less value than the forest ground, and this is a huge increase on the rangeland compared to the forest ground. So all you're dealing with is grass, junipers that need to be burned. Yes, there is a way to do it. Understand all the prescribed burns and everything else. So this should have been, needs to be dealt with before now, and would ask it to be prorated out, regardless of what comes down the road with help from the legislator, from the general fund, whatever. And the pre-plan, as Gordon was saying, is a huge factor. I don't care if it's ODF, Forest Service, BLM, Range, RFPA. The contact with your landowners needs to be your #1 priority. And what they want to do on their property, because we still live in America, and we still have private property rights, I hope. And I'll leave it with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else sign up for comment? Is that a roll? Okay, I do have those in notes. They're recorded as well, and so we'll make sure that they'll get included into the public record and our representative. So we call the names, all the names of everybody who signed up to comment. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment? Okay. Thank you for coming today. This will be the adjournment of the hearing. And we'll go ahead and conclude the recordings and be available for the rest of the evening. Thank you.